is a Countdown Bulletin podcast. It was, in short, the worst post-disaster news conference in our modern American history after the terrorist attack in New Orleans that killed at least 10 people when a Texas-born Army veteran drove into a New Year's Eve crowd in the French Quarter, ran people over, shot at them, shot at police, and prepared, apparently, to disperse IEDs, improvised explosive devices he had brought with him. And he had, according to the FBI, the help of others, and the suspect was then shot and killed. And Wednesday afternoon, New Year's Day, the authorities in New Orleans somehow managed to make it worse. The mayor, the governor, the senator, the chief of police. If the least sophisticated form of terrorism, a car driving into a crowd on a closed street during holiday celebrations, happens in a city known for crowds on a street closed during holiday celebrations, do not stand there and congratulate each other on the great job you have done and the great job you are going to do, and do not get mad at reporters for asking how in the hell this happened. If you do not have information to share, don't share it. Don't blame reporters at a news conference you have called for asking questions. If you don't want to share the information, Governor Landry, don't share it. Don't act arrogantly and condescendingly towards reporters asking questions on behalf of a terrified public. The reporters do not know in advance that you are going to refuse to answer their questions. That's why they are asking the questions. And most of all, Superintendent of Police Ann Kirkpatrick and Captain LaJohn Roberts do not explain, as if this were the most natural thing in the world, that the bollards, the removable stainless steel blocks designed to keep terrorists from driving onto pedestrian-filled streets or into buildings, the bollards that you bought a decade ago, that they did not work correctly, that they got stuck. So 2 months ago, you started to replace them, and you have the new ones ready to go, and they will provide total safety, only they weren't there on New Year's Eve in New Orleans. So you had a police car blocking the road, but the terrorists simply drove up onto the sidewalk instead. My God, to hear the superintendent of police express astonishment that a terrorist, by some evidence and inference, perhaps a suicide bomber, was willing to drive on something other than the street, that he was willing to drive on the sidewalk, as if somebody driving on a sidewalk had never happened before in the history of mankind. To hear a police person, a veteran police person, the person in charge, say something that incredibly naive is disturbing beyond measure. How could they have possibly gotten around your impregnable defenses, Superintendent? Well, they drove past the police car blocking the road instead of stopping. Apparently, this superintendent, who is literally my age, has never seen a car on a sidewalk in New Orleans or on the news from anywhere else in the world or even in the movies. The superintendent promptly explained they have plans in place, undefeatable plans, to protect New Orleans and its people, and this is a time for leadership, and we are the leaders, and we will provide the leaderships. And no, the leadership and the plans didn't work Tuesday night, not at all, but the new bollards will be installed soon. Might as well have said the new bollards are flawless and perfect, and you'll be taking them out of the box any day now. And it is possible that of all the officials at that news conference in New Orleans, the superintendent was the one who made the least complete fool of herself. If you have ever seen the movie Airplane and heard the news conference given by the character played by Lloyd Bridges about a stricken airliner and how a pilot is not available, but one of the passengers is going to land the plane, and each answer he gives is worse and more horrifying than the last, and he's tossing off jokes and smoking cigarettes as he gives these answers. That's what this was. Only Airplane was satire, and those answers were funny. Oh, in New Orleans, nobody was smoking. It was this Governor Landry who answered every question as if the reporters were too stupid to know in advance. He had chosen to keep all pertinent details of the attack to himself rather than share them with the public. It was this man with the cadence and the tone of a chain gang supervisor who explained that even though the entire system failed Tuesday night, you should just trust him and go to that college football game they just had to postpone for a day anyhow because of successful terrorism. Just trust him.
All right. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
What gives you the confidence tomorrow night it'll be safe? Right.
I'm going to be there.
Me too. Yeah, we're going to be there.
Why are you confident there won't be problems tomorrow? I'll be there. He's Governor Superman. I am truly surprised Governor Landry did not say they'd never attack a football game when a governor was at it. You know, just like they'd never drive onto the sidewalk. What, are you crazy? For sheer political self-prostitution, though, for senility in action, it was Senator Kennedy of Louisiana who stole this show, who made it about himself, who made it about vague conspiracy theories that he alluded to only in the background, who made it about politics, who chose this somber, tragic event to take a stupid shot at the media, a stupid shot in the context of the rest of the news conference being one long stupid shot. This made the comparisons between Senator Kennedy and Pat Buttram's Mr. Haney from Green Acres and Foghorn Leghorn look embarrassing. To Pat Buttram and Foghorn Leghorn.
Catch these people and then tell the American people the truth. Now, I don't want you to tell us yet anything's going to interfere with your investigation. And there are things that I've been told that I think are true that I'm not sharing with you today because it could interfere with their investigation. But after we get to the bottom of this, they need to tell the American people the truth, and the people in New Orleans the truth, and the people of America the truth. I think the mayor and the governor are very wise to postpone this ball game for 24 hours. There's just too much stuff we don't know. And it's just not worth it. But I guess my final point is, I will promise you this: I will, when it is appropriate and this investigation is complete, you will find out what happened and who was responsible, or I will raise fresh hell. Can I say something, Arthur? Tell me who you're with.
WDSU.
WDSU. Okay, and CBS.
NBC's over here on the right.
Oh, that's an unusual position.
I don't get it.
You wouldn't.
Perfect time to make a joke about the news media, Senator. Resign. And of course, Senator Kennedy is the smart one. Earlier, before it was revealed where the dead suspect was from, Trump, as always, knew the real truth. When I said that the criminals coming in are far worse than the criminals we have in our country, that statement was constantly refuted by Democrats and the fake news media, but it turned out to be true. The crime rate in our country is at a level that nobody has ever seen before. Our hearts are with all of the innocent victims and their loved ones, including the brave officers of the New Orleans Police Department. The Trump administration will fully support the city of New Orleans as they investigate and recover from this act of pure evil. Pure evil is a phrase used now to distinguish that from Trump evil. The suspect, the dead, identified suspect, was a U.S. Army veteran born and raised in Texas. Who he might be working with was yet to be determined as I recorded this. And he had an ISIS flag in his truck. ISIS, which, as Trump will always remind you whenever the word pops up, Trump defeated in 2019. In just weeks, he will tell you. There is no ISIS. Idiot-elect went silent after the suspect was ID'd and turned his attention back to Bitcoin and tariffs. And somehow got topped by Congresswoman Cavewoman. Marjorie Taylor Green, very possibly the stupidest person in America, not just in Congress. New Orleans terrorist attacker is said to have come across the border in Eagle Pass 2 days ago! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Shut the border down! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Who did our government bomb lately that is taking it out on innocent Americans? Terrorism is a deadly threat to this country, nearly as much threat to as the Marjorie Taylor Greens and the Trumps and their stupidity and their willingness to exploit anything are deadly threats to this country, especially when their stupidity and their willingness to exploit anything takes place concurrently as the hot and cold running imbecility as we are seeing from New Orleans itself. Everybody at that news conference, with the exception of the FBI Special Agent Alethea Duncan, who after a brief and calm statement spent most of the rest of her time watching the single-digit IQ elected officials and police people soil themselves. Everybody but the FBI agent should resign. If you watched any of that and you came away confident that the authorities in New Orleans and in the state of Louisiana have any idea what they are doing, I congratulate you on your childlike, possibly childish faith. The Sugar Bowl college football game was postponed until Thursday night. It should be moved to another state. The Super Bowl is scheduled for Sunday, February 9th in New Orleans, in the Superdome. It should be moved to another state. I don't know if Louisiana is safe or not. I do know that the police officials and the elected officials in New Orleans are idiots. Unless they have now unboxed the new road blocking devices by then and briefed officers on this terrible new invention of the terrorists, not stopping when a cop tells them to and instead driving on the sidewalk. This has been a Countdown Bulletin podcast. The next scheduled edition is Monday as ever. Bulletins as the news warrants.